Hello everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make glass in Xplane. So basically, if you're looking to make see-through windows for your buildings, then this is the right tutorial for you, but I will have to make a few disclaimers. So first of all, I do expect you to have at least some knowledge on Blender and Substance Painter, like at least I need you to know how to move around and stuff because it's more of an intermediate tutorial. Second of all, I just need to clarify in Xplane, glass is a little funky. Like for example, if you look at it from the inside, you won't be able to see planes outside of it. And that's just because of layer grouping and the way things are drawn in the Xplane world. And it won't have material properties such as roughness and glossiness and stuff like that. It won't get all that fancy. That's just a disclaimer. That's just currently the way things are in Xplane, and there's really nothing we can do about it. But I'm going to try my best to explain things to the best of my ability. Here we have this basic building. So here I have, if you have already noticed on my outline, I have the glass. So this is the window, and I have it separate from the main building, and I'll explain why in a bit. But basically, I just want you to go to the video description, and I want you to download this blend file. So go ahead and download the blend file, and go ahead and make sure you press A to select all, and then click on File, Export, FBX, and then select Mesh, and then Selected Objects, and then export it wherever you want. And then I'm going to need you to open Substance Painter. And once you're in Substance Painter, you're going to create a new project, so New, and then for File, Select, go ahead and select the FBX that you just exported, and select any document resolution, doesn't really matter, and OpenGL for the normal map format. So click OK, and here's our building. So if you've used Substance Painter before, obviously, first of all, you're going to want to bake the mesh maps. So you're going to go over to your texture set settings, scroll down, bake mesh maps, and then you can select any resolution, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so once everything's baked, you're going to return to painting mode, and just for the sake of simplicity and of time, I'm just going to choose a random brick material to put on this building. Let's do this one. So impacted brick wall. You may notice that there are two separate objects, but there's one texture set, and that is because I have unwrapped the building into the same UV, so you shouldn't really worry about different texture sets or anything. And then just gonna increase the tiling a little bit. That seems okay. And now I'm just gonna add a fill layer. So I'm gonna click on the paint bucket to add a fill layer. I'm gonna go to base color drop down, select height, and you might have selected a different material or no material at all. It doesn't really matter, but I'm basically gonna switch the blending mode. So here in this drop down where it says LDGE to normal, because this material down here has some overlapping. We don't want the normals of this material to overlap with this one, so I have to change some things up. So I'm going down to normal, selecting this to normal. So now this layer should be completely independent of this one. So I'm going to change the name of this one to glass, and I'm going to change the color. Actually, I'll do that in a bit, because first we need to do something. So we need to change the shader that we're using for opacity to be available to use as a channel. So what we have to do is head over here to Window, Views, and then Shader Settings. And you want to click where it says ASM Metal Rough, and you're going to change this to PBR Metal Rough with Alpha Blending. So it's the third row, first option. And you don't really need to understand what that means, except that it makes it available on your texture set settings. So if we open texture set settings and you see channel, you can go ahead and click on the add button, and you'll see opacity as an option. So let's go ahead and add that. So now let's make sure we click on our glass layer. We click on opacity to enable it, and let's go ahead and click on our glass layer, right click, add black mask, and then we're going to go on polygon fill mode over here on the left hand side, and then we're going to go ahead and click on this face and make sure you are on polygon fill mode, the square, and then we're going to go inside, and then we're going to go ahead and click on this face. Okay, so opacity. So let's first change the color. Actually, personally, for like a black type of tinted glass window, I like a value of 0.1. Everything at 0 except the value, I like that at 0.1, and I find that that's the best color in my opinion. But you can mess around with the color if you want. You don't have to really follow me technically when it comes to base color. It won't really affect anything. But if we just go down here to opacity and we change this to like 0.5, you'll be able to notice that you can now see through the glass. And let's go ahead and make this the roughness to 0 so it actually looks like glass. So now you can see through the building. I would also like to clarify something. It doesn't matter what you do here with the roughness, the metallic, whatever. Those properties won't really show in Xplane, and that is due to the way the glass is drawn. Unfortunately, there's really nothing we can do about that. But anyway, so this is how the glass looks like right now. But the problem is it will not look like this in Xplane. So unfortunately, the preview in Substance is not accurate to what you see in Xplane. So for, you can see opacity 0.5. It looks okay here in Substance. But in Xplane, you're probably going to want something like 0.8 in my opinion, which looks super dark here in Substance Painter. You'll probably be like, no, I want this. I want to actually see through it. But you'll see that in Xplane, you'll be able to see through it as if it were 0.5 opacity. You'll get what I mean in a bit. But for now, let's go ahead and just roll with 0.8. And I'm going to show you how this looks in the simulator. So I'm going to go ahead and click on File up here on the top left, Export Textures. And I'm going to select the directory. And then I'm going to change the output template to Xplane, which, by the way, if you don't have that output template, you can get it from the developer website. And then for size, it doesn't really matter. You can choose any resolution. I'm going to choose 4K. I'm going to go back to Blender. This is how your texture set or your textures should look like. We have a glass building, albedo, and a normal. And usually I like to change the names, which is not necessary. And now if we just go back into Blender, you can see that in the scene properties, right here, this cone with the spheres, if you just click on that, you'll see that building and Z glass, the Z glass collection, they're already checked as a root collection. So this is pretty much all set up for export. Go to building, and then from building, you can just go ahead and select the textures that we just exported. So glasstutorial.png for default, and then glasstutorial_nrm for normal specular. Make sure that normal metalness is checked. And then go back down to Z-Glass, do the same thing here. Make sure you link up your textures to default and normal. Make sure that normal metalness is checked. And I'm pretty sure that in the sample blend file that I linked in the description, this should already be done for you, but I'm just going to show you anyway. So if you scroll down to layer grouping, down to where it says layer grouping, you're going to find layer group none and layer group offset 0. So for the glass specifically, so right now we're editing the glass collection, you're going to want this switch to objects, and then you're going to want to switch the offset, the layer group offset, to 1. And the reason for that is so that the glass gets drawn above all the other objects so that you'll actually be able to see through the glass. Otherwise, you're just going to see like a really shiny type of glass material and it just won't look good. And you won't be able to see through it, which is kind of the whole point of the window. So once you've done that, make sure you go ahead and click on Export OBJs, and then go to the directory where your blend file is saved. It'll probably be your downloads. And I'm just going to show you guys how this looks like in Xplane. So I'm just going to copy this. And so I have my test scenery here, objects. I'm just going to paste everything. Oh. Z-Glass building. There we go. Here we are in Xplane. I'm just going to go ahead and come down here and show you. So this is what I was talking about. You can kind of see there's the glass right there. It's tinted and you can kind of see through it. And as far as I know, you can't really see any material properties. Maybe that's just because the sun's not shining directly on it. But if we try to look through it, we'll be able to see buildings. But we just won't be able to see some very specific types of objects, like those runway lights inside, and they suddenly disappear. And it'll be the same with aircraft. So you won't be able to see aircraft through glass, tinted glass, and that unfortunately is, once again, it's an Xplane thing. That hopefully Laminar fixes soon. It's not necessarily the best, but it is what it is. At this scale, at this small object, it's probably not going to look great, but maybe the scale of a terminal where there's interiors, it might look better. Again, there's some internal Xplane things like drawing order, layer grouping that we unfortunately are not in control of. But this is pretty much just about the best I can do. So yeah, I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next tutorial.